The Campbell County Animal Shelter is still without air conditioning today. The unit where animals are kept stopped working yesterday morning.
10 News reporter Gabrielle Hayes spoke to the shelter about their continued efforts to keep the animals cool. Gabrielle?
Robin and John, the shelter still has about 170 animals left, but workers spent the day arranging for them to be moved somewhere cool and safe. It's the second day animals at the Campbell County Animal Shelter have gone without air conditioning.
The shelters are stressful environments for animals as it is. Just add the heat to it, and we're just worried about disease outbreak.
Shelter Director Patricia Sawinski says the AC went out on Wednesday morning. The AC still works at the front of the building. Workers move the animals there while scrambling to find foster parents and other facilities to take them.
When you're looking at disease and stress and illness, those are going to be your most susceptible. So we've got to get them out first.
But veterinarians say warm temperatures can impact even healthy animals.
What I would call heat intolerance, because they're still in a protected environment, so they're not under the direct effect of the sun.
She says warmer temps can make the animals less active, pant more than usual, and lower their sense of appetite. But taking measures like providing cold water can help.
Plenty of fresh water would also be really helpful if the dogs and cats cannot be moved away from the shelter.
In the meantime, the shelter does plan to get the majority of the animals out as soon as possible and a new AC up and running in about a week.
It's important that we get them out as quick as possible.
Workers say they are still accepting stray animals right now, but those animals will also be moved out until the AC is fixed. Robin and John.
Gabrielle, thank you.